This is 5 Live. All the big visuals of this protest coming up, but first the headlines. Agriculture Minister urges for dialogue, tells farmers MSP law guarantee cannot be rushed. It will bankrupt the country. Punjab and Haryana High Court asks Centre why farmer protesters have been blocked entry. Farm Stir 2.0 politics begins. Rahul Gandhi, meanwhile, promises Kisan Nyay guarantee, says Congress will give MSP guarantee to every farmer as per the Swaminathan Commission. Of course, the untold story is the Swaminathan Commission report came out just before the UPA government came to power. So for 10 years, they did nothing. Bengal showdown escalates. Protesters clash with police in Bengal's Basirat. BJP protesters lathi charged. BJP claims police working hand in glove with Mamta government. Prime Minister Modi arrives in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates to a grand ceremonial welcome and a hug from his brother MBZ. Prime Minister thanks the UAE President for the Baps Temple, the first big mandir in the UAE, which will be inaugurated tomorrow by the Prime Minister. Maharashtra heavyweight Ashok Chavan officially joins the BJP a day after quitting the Congress. The former Maharashtra Chief Minister will be filing his Rajya Sabha nomination tomorrow. More than 200 farmer unions are marching to the national capital of India to press the Modi government to accept a fresh list of demands. You remember the farm protests from a couple of years ago? Well, a massive Haryana police versus protesting farmers showdown has already taken place. There have been injuries reported. The police have fired tear gas to disperse protesting farmers at the Punjab-Haryana Shambhu border while they were heading towards Delhi. Drones have been used to dispel tear gas grenades at crowds of farmers as well. Images show huge plumes of smoke, making visibility almost impossible. And thousands of farmers as well as media personnel, including India Today's personnel, running helter-skelter to the sound of tear gas shells being fired. Remember, besides the huge police deployment, paramilitary personnel equipped with anti-riot gear, multiple layers of barricades, concrete blocks, walls of containers have been put up at these border entry points. Here's a report.
Tear gas fills the air. Fierce confrontations. Obstacles. Sharp spikes. Barbed wire barriers. And law enforcement in riot gear. Once again, farm protests erupt in India's grain bowl heartland, evoking memories of the march from Punjab and Haryana to the nation's capital on November 26, 2020.
हालात यहाँ पर कहीं ना कहीं बेकाबू होते जा रहे हैं और सिचुएशन तनाव वाली बनी हुई है। लोगों को भी समझाने की कोशिश की जा रही है कि लोग भी आगे ना बढ़ें। और ये देखिए, ये जो ड्रोन आया है, इससे टीयर गैस सेल फेंके जा रहे हैं।
This time around, the protests carry a different tone from the prolonged agitation of the past. In contrast to the 2020 protests against new agricultural laws, which were eventually repealed a year later. The February 2024 protests focus on long-standing grievances confronting the country's agricultural sector.
देखिए किसान कितना पीसफुल है, कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा, फिर भी आप ऊपर क्या बोलते हैं, रॉबर्ट से ऊपर से हंजू गैस फेंके जा रहे हैं, ड्रोन से।
एजिटेशन कितनी देर चलेगा यहाँ पे?
देखिए जब तक सरकार मांग नहीं मानती।
Key among the farmers' demands is the enactment of a new law ensuring a minimum support price for their crops. Despite some progress on other fronts, the impasse over the legally backed minimum support price fueled Monday's demonstrations. While the government sets minimum prices of over 20 crops annually, the Food Corporation of India primarily purchases rice and wheat at these rates, benefiting only about 6% of farmers. The government maintains that time is needed to devise a solution.
मैं मानता हूं कि बातचीत के माध्यम से समाधान निकल सकता है। इस बात को समझने की ज़रूरत है। इस बात को यदि हम समझेंगे तो स्वाभाविक रूप से इसका समाधान को अच्छे ढंग से निकाल पाएंगे।
Traffic routes and border restrictions around Delhi led to extensive gridlock in the city.
Behind me is what you witness is almost like a war zone because there's a consistent, oh my god, this is where a tear gas has gone on, and obviously this is almost suffocating because of the nature. And remember, this is where media is stationed, and continuously you see the farmers on one end, and this is where the farmers on one end and the Central Armed Police as well as Haryana Police on the other end. So continuously there is back and forth stone pelting.
Currently, it is Shambhu border, located approximately 230 kilometers north of Delhi, that has become the focal point of clashes between enraged farmers and authorities striving to prevent their advance towards the city. With Kamaljeet Sandhu and Satyendra Chauhan, Bureau Report, India Today.
Viewer, in just a moment now, we're going to explain and break down for you what the demands of the farmer unions are this time, how they are different from last time, and contextualize for you what the current interface between the farmer unions and the government really are. Why have things suddenly turned violent, and can things be controlled very quickly, or is it going to expand and become an extended farmer protest like the last time? Earlier today, our reporter and my colleague Satyendra was in the thick of action when things were heating up at the Shambhu border between Punjab and Haryana. He sustained injuries in what was taking place there. Here's his report.
शंभू बॉर्डर पर एक बार फिर से धमाकों की आवाज सुनाई दे रही। तस्वीरें देखिए आप, चारों तरफ धुआं धुआं है। आंसू गैस के गोले लगातार छोड़े जा रहे हैं। भगदड़ मची हुई है। तस्वीर आप देखिए किस तरीके से भीड़ को काबू करने के लिए पुलिस द्वारा टीयर गैस सेल का इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है। एक बार भीड़ को आगे किया जाता है, फिर भीड़ को पीछे छोड़ा जाता है, भीड़ फिर आगे आ जाती है। तकरीबन 2 घंटे से लगातार इस तरह के हालात यहाँ पर बने हुए हैं, जहाँ पर पुलिस भीड़ को काबू करने की कोशिश करती है, लेकिन भीड़ और बेकाबू हो रही है। तस्वीर आप देखिए, यहाँ पर लगातार टीयर गैस के सेल छोड़े जा रहे हैं। देखिए तस्वीरें किस तरीके से यहाँ पर माहौल तनावपूर्ण बना हुआ है। शंभू बॉर्डर पर हालात लगातार बेकाबू होते जा रहे हैं। लगातार धमाकों की आवाज़ आप सुन सकते हैं। ड्रोन से और गनों से लगातार टीयर गैस के सेल यहाँ पर फेंके जा रहे हैं। आसमान में आप देख सकते हैं ये ड्रोन है और इस ड्रोन से टीयर गैस सेल फेंके जा रहे हैं। इसके अलावा आप देखिए ये जो धुआं उठ रहा है, लगातार ये धमाकों की आवाज़ आपको सुनाई दे रही है। पुलिस किसानों को, प्रदर्शनकारियों को रोकने के लिए लगातार टीयर गैस सेल का इस्तेमाल कर रही है। कुल मिलाकर जितनी स्थिति को संभालने की कोशिश की जाती है, हालात उतने ही बिगड़ रहे हैं। और यहाँ पर लगातार ये जो धमाकों की आवाज़ें हैं माहौल को तनावपूर्ण बना रही हैं और स्थिति को कहीं ना कहीं चिंताजनक बना रही हैं। देखिए यहाँ पर लगातार टीयर गैस के गोले छोड़े जा रहे हैं। तस्वीरें आप देख सकती हैं किस तरह का माहौल यहाँ पर बना हुआ है। यहाँ पर हज़ारों की तादाद में लोग आ गए थे और उनको तितर बतर करने के लिए पुलिस ने लगातार टीयर गैस के गोले छोड़े हैं। और यहाँ पर मैं तस्वीरें दिखा रहा हूँ, आप देखिए हरियाणा पुलिस के जवान जो वहाँ पर तैनात थे, उन्होंने इन पर लगातार टीयर गैस के गोले अभी छोड़े हैं और जमकर पुलिस और किसानों के बीच में यहाँ पर टकराव हुआ है। और ये देखिए लगातार ये देखिए तस्वीरें लगातार आंसू गैस के गोले यहाँ पर फेंके जा रहे हैं। ये फेंकने शुरू कर दिए। ये देखिए ये धमाकों की आवाज़ आप सुन सकती है लगातार। और जहाँ से ये गोले छोड़े जा रहे हैं वो तस्वीरें मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ। आप देखिए जिस तरीके से हालात हैं, लग ऐसा रहा है कि स्थिति अब यहाँ पर कंट्रोल से बाहर हो रही है।
Now, these ground reports that you've just seen were from some time ago. So I want to make it very clear that you're watching images recorded from a few hours ago. But I want to take you back to these hotspots to show you how things are at this stage, because every minute matters. My colleagues Amit Bhardwaj is at the Singhu border, Milan Sharma is at the Ghazipur border, Aishwarya Paliwal reporting from the Tikri border at this point of time. Amit, quickly coming to you right now, what is the current situation? We've seen very, very troubling scenes from, the Shambhu border and other areas, from lathi charge to water cannons being used to tear gas shells being fired. Injuries have been reported as well. This is definitely looks like something that is in escalation mode. What can you tell us about the current situation at the Singhu border?
Well, Shiv, first of all, we have to understand the two routes that are being taken by the farmers. Shambhu border is the big flashpoint. That was the, border which had, in fact, witnessed barricades being flown in the air last time around as well. And this time around, you have, massive tear gas shells being fired at the farmers, clashes happening there. And the second route that is being taken by the farmers is through Narwana in Jind of Haryana, and that route will take the farmers to Tikri border. Where I'm standing right now, Shiv, is the point from where the farmers were moving from Shambhu border will move to Panipat, and eventually they will reach Singhu border, if at all. But the war zone of sorts, if we may call it, is still unfolding in Shambhu border. And what we are given to understand that all the preparations on the ground at Singhu border is being further beefed up. These concrete barricades that you are looking at were not there a few hours back, but 6 to 7 feet long walls have been already put, concrete blocks have been already put, drones are being used to monitor the situation. One different tactic that will be used by Delhi police on the left hand side are these jawans that you see in casual clothes, but these are also personnels of Delhi police. Yes. And they are holding iron bars in their hand. So what we are given to understand that when the farmer protesters who have swords of weapons like swords in their hands, these sticks, iron rods, will become handy while stopping them if at all they reach the Singhu border. Shiv.
Okay, interesting. So this is still very much a story in motion. Milan, you had reported from the Ghazipur border, Singhu border, the last protest that happened there as well, the extended farmer Andolan. How is it looking this time? And, you're not only covering what's happening on the ground, but you've also got your ear on what's happening between the farmer unions and the government. How is it looking, Milan?
Well, Shiv, it's almost like a sense of deja vu, because what we were covering in 2020 and 2021, the farmers had already reached Shambhu border as well as Singhu border. That is when the government had become reactive. But now the difference between that and today is the government has had 2 successive meetings already in Chandigarh with the Kisan unions that are protesting this time. So it wasn't like the government wasn't willing to listen to anything, but the government stepped forward and met them in Chandigarh. It is when the second round of talks led to no conclusion is when the farmers decided that they will march towards Delhi. But at the moment, and what happened last time, it was the Congress government in Punjab that had allowed the farmers to cross over from Shambhu to Singhu border. Even today, it's the Aam Aadmi Party government in Punjab that has allowed the farmers to cross over from Punjab and into Shambhu border. Where Haryana is concerned, of course, we've been told by police sources that there is no way they will let the farmers cross Shambhu to reach Singhu, but the farmers are unrelenting. At the Ghazipur border also, we know that the Samyukt Kisan Morcha and Rakesh Tikait fraction has still not upped the ante on whether they will join this protest, although they have called for a separate Bharat Bandh on the February of 16th. And they are saying that we don't want to march all the way, we want to protest in a separate way. But they have condemned the kind of tear gas shelling as well as the lathi charge that happened today. So it does seem like the farmer unions are divided on the issue, but the major concern for the MSP law still stands. hands. However, Rakesh Ticket faction has still not taken a call whether to come to Ghazipur border, but nobody is taking this lightly, at least not the Delhi police. And all around me you will see these barricades that have been put up, and they will continue to be here irrespective of whether the farmers change route and bring tractors, try and get into Delhi. Shiv.
Okay, so the government and the system has been more proactive this time rather than reactive like they were the last time. Aishwarya, I'm going to come to you in just a minute. Bear with me. I've got some breaking news coming in with the latest pictures coming in from near the Shambhu border, but also in Sangrur. Tensions continue in Sangrur in Punjab as well as the Shambhu border in Ambala in Haryana, where the protests have escalated. These are live pictures coming in from the Shambhu border, which is Ambala in Haryana, and Sangrur, which is in Punjab. Police and farmers have come face to face in Punjab, Sangrur. Due to tear gas firing, breathing has become difficult, which is precisely the point of their use. Some farmers have also gotten, unfortunately, injured. Thousands of people were apparently moving towards the border when the Punjab-Haryana border, when the police used water cannons, tear gas, and allegedly rubber bullets as well. So these are the latest pictures of how tense things are in Punjab and in Haryana. Let me bring in India Today's Aishwarya Paliwal, who's at the Tikri border. She's been reporting on the current protests. She was also one of our reporters in the 2020-21 protests. Aishwarya, you know, the talks between the farmer unions and the government had failed last night. That's the reason why this big mobilization is happening. But are you hearing that attempts are being made right now as well to try and contain this entire protest?
Well, definitely, Shiv. And you know, the visuals that I'll show you here at the Tikri border, the police personnel here present in large numbers. And let me also tell you, they have sealed these cemented barricades that you are seeing at the moment. The entire border has been sealed. The police personnel that you see, Shiv, here, the administration on the toes. At the moment, they are making sure that they put these cemented barricades, which will be what, according to the police personnel, we understand at the moment, removing these will not be easy for the farmers. But they have all seen the visuals that came in from Shambhu. And with regards to that, this is the current situation here in Tikri. The border now obviously being sealed. You know, the cranes. I'll just show you the cranes moving all these barricades. Shiv, this is the crane in action, moving the barricades, making sure that this entire stretch is now being entirely cornered off. Tikri border has been completely sealed off, Shiv.
Okay, so the sealing of the borders has been done with greater effectiveness and proactiveness, it appears, than the last time. But the farmer unions, 200 in all, that have united in their demands, and I will be throwing some light on those demands and what they really mean in just a moment with our Business Today managing editor. But I wanted to reflect for you that the numbers are large, they are compelling. And these farmer unions mean business. They believe that right before the elections, they have leverage against the government that had buckled the last time and given in to their demands on the 3 farm laws. And therefore, this time, timed before the elections once again, the farmer unions believe that they can persuade the government with this overwhelming show of strength to once again accede to their demands. That's what, that's the simple way to put what is going on at this point of time. But the politics, of course, has also exploded. From the sidelines far away on his Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, Rahul Gandhi has, announced that, there will be an MSP guarantee in Congress-ruled states on the MS Swaminathan Committee recommendations, which is amazing since the committee report had come out in 2003. 2004 is when the UPA government came to power, and for 10 years that government also didn't implement any of those recommendations. So it's heavy-duty politics being played over the demands of farmers, various vested interests, various cross-purposes, but on your screens right now is the muscle flex of farmer unions against the government in the shadow of the big 2024 election. Okay, let's go across to also India Today's Kamaljeet Sandhu. She's in Sangrur in Punjab. I think she's at the Shambhu border. She's at the Shambhu border, I beg your pardon, between Punjab and Haryana. She's been, reporting right through those convoys that the farmers have been driving to get their views and give you a very realistic perspective of where things are at. We'll put some images from Kamaljeet's reports on your screen in just a moment. Also, Kamaljeet, escalation at the Shambhu border as well as in Sangrur. Those are the two live images that we're getting from both those areas right now. What are you seeing?
Well, yes, definitely, Shiv. There seems to be situation which is on the boil, especially at Shambhu border, where there's continuous sort of, shells being used as far as to disperse the crowds are concerned. But as far as farmers are concerned, they seem to be very determined to get across, especially regarding the barricades. The other front is obviously the one that we've seen in Sangrur, the Kanori border. That is seeing a lot of action where nails have been put and concrete and everything. And both ways, it's been led by the farmer leaders from the front. Now, what they want is obviously they want to breach those barricades and head towards Delhi. But Haryana police is also very determined, and that is why what you see is those sort of drones which have been implied, and obviously they are trying to ensure that there is a mechanism in place to see whether these tear gas shells can have a dampener sort of an effect. But what we've seen is right in the front is some of the couple of farmers who are actually bearing the brunt, and that is where the injuries have now taken place, and the rest of them are actually waiting backhand because they want to know once the things are clear that they would move ahead. So all the patience is being shown by the farmers. So it's going to be a very long haul, a long day both for the farmers as well as the police. Now the farmer leaders are saying they're still open to talks. We do not know whether that's going to happen in Delhi or whether there would be eventually another round of talks. But this is obviously a pressure tactics where the farmers have put in place. The Delhi Chalo march has already been announced, and remember this is the first breach point, both Kanori border as well as the Shambhu border. Very important vital points. This is where even Haryana police had expected some sort of a trouble. But remember, if these are breached, then it is going to be the Tikri border and the other borders which are going to be there. And that is why several barricades and several fronts. And obviously, the farmer leaders are now claiming that this seems to be clamped down even in the villages so that more people do not associate. The other thing they are actually hoping for is that the farmers do believe that these kind of visuals where there seems to be force being enacted will actually bring in sympathy from the people. So this is a double-edged sword, whichever way you look at it. The farmers back on the streets and obviously vowing to walk all the way to Delhi, and obviously a tense situation at hand with the tear gas shells and the use of force which are being now used. Several of them obviously remarking that even the bullets are being used at this point of time.
Okay, Kamal, you, Amit, Milan and Aishwarya, continue to stay safe as you report this developing story. These are in fact the latest images coming in from Sangrur in Punjab. As you can see, a great, elevated use of tear gas shells to disperse the farmer crowds in these particular areas. This uprising is continuing to escalate and intensify. We're taking a very, very quick break. We'll be back right after this. We'll get into the technicals of the demands being made by these farmer unions and what they really mean. Why is the government holding out? Is the government really holding out? And what leverage do the farmers have on the government? Is this really the right way to proceed on these issues? I'll break it down in glaring detail right after this. Stay with us.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
जो कुछ हो रहा है और जिस तरह से खबरें आ रही हैं कि आंसू गैस और उससे पहले किसानों को रोकने के लिए, आंदोलन को खत्म करने के लिए कीलों से लेकर के न जाने क्या क्या दीवारें तक खड़ी की गई और प्रशासन के माध्यम से जो सरकार कर सकती थी वो सरकार कर रही है। दिल्ली की सरकार जानबूझ करके किसानों की आवाज दबाना चाहती है। ये वही सरकार के लोग हैं जिन्होंने किसान को कहा कि उनकी आय दोगुनी हो जाएगी, फसल की कीमत मिलेगी, एमएसपी लागू करेंगे। कुछ वर्षों पहले हमने और आपने देखा किसान आकर के धरने पे बैठ गए। 800 से ज्यादा किसानों की आत्महत्या हुई या हत्या हो गई, जान चली गई। लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी सरकार किसानों को एमएसपी देने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। तो जो सरकार किसानों के नाम पर वोट लेना चाहती हो, जो सरकार स्वामीनाथन जी को भारत रत्न दे रही हो, जो सरकार किसानों के नेता चौधरी चरण सिंह जी को सम्मान दे रही हो, भारत रत्न, आखिरकार किसान को एमएसपी क्यों नहीं? या एमएसपी देना नहीं चाहती सरकार? बड़े लोगों से मिली हुई है सरकार?
कृषि मंत्री अर्जुन मुंडा इस वक्त हमारे साथ बातचीत करने के लिए मौजूद हैं। सर, लगातार जो किसान हैं वो बॉर्डर्स पर पहुंच रहे हैं, आंसू गैस के गोले भी छोड़े जा रहे हैं। उनकी जो मांग है उसको लेकर के आप लोगों ने मीटिंग भी किया था। किस तरीके से आगे अब आप लोग आगे बढ़ेंगे?
देखिए, मैं अभी भी आशान्वित हूँ। मैं मानता हूँ कि बातचीत के माध्यम से समाधान निकल सकता है। ये बात उन्हें भी समझना चाहिए कि जो बात वो कह रहे हैं, सरकार की पद्धति होती है, सरकार के मापदंड होते हैं कि जो ऐसे मामले जो राज्यों से सन्निहित है उनके साथ भी बातचीत करना औपचारिक तौर से, और उसके बाद संगठनों के साथ भी बात करना, और साथ ही साथ अनुकूल प्रतिकूल ऐसे विषयों पर भी चर्चा करना जिससे कि किसानों के हित और देश के हित में हो। लेकिन इस बात को समझने की ज़रूरत है। इस बात को यदि हम समझेंगे तो स्वाभाविक रूप से इसका समाधान को अच्छे ढंग से निकाल पाए।
एमएसपी की गारंटी की मांग और इसके अलावा कर्ज माफी को लेकर के किसानों की तरफ से लगातार
एमएसपी की बात यदि आप देखें तो आप इसका अध्ययन करिए कि एमएसपी में 2013 और 14 के तुलना में 2023-24 में आज एमएसपी की दर क्या है। हम भी चाहते हैं कि किसानों के किसी भी ऐसे उत्पाद जिसमें एमएसपी दर तय होता है वो उसके माध्यम से उससे कम में ना बिके। लेकिन एमएसपी के मामले में ये बात कहते हुए कि हमें अभी ही सारी चीज़ें हो जाना चाहिए, ये मैं समझता हूँ कि राजनीति से प्रेरित नहीं होना चाहिए।
Tensions are continuing to escalate during the farmer protests in the Shambhu border area, which is the border between Punjab and Haryana. We're taking you straight there to these pictures of tear gas smoke pretty much filling up the air. Farmers refusing to back down. The police adamant to stop their march towards India's national capital. These are live pictures coming in from the Shambhu border. India Today continues to report from here as the crackdown continues. The farmers are attempting to cross from Punjab into Haryana to make their way to Delhi. Remember that Delhi does not share a border with Punjab directly. It is via Haryana. And so the farmers from Punjab have to go through Haryana to make it into Delhi. A lot of tear gas being fired, as you can see in these pictures. Let's just try and listen into the sound in these pictures for a moment. Easily turn violent as this confrontation continues to escalate. Thankfully, no deaths so far, but injuries have been reported. And this is a situation that continues to be very, very tense. Unlike the farmer protest in 2020, this particular Andolan, this particular march towards the national capital has in many ways been prepared for. It's been preempted by security forces. But the farmer unions and the farmer groups with their tractors are known to be prepared to stay for the long haul, 6 months or more. They're carrying rations, they're carrying bedding, and it looks like they're preparing for the kind of sit-in protest very much like the 2020-21 protest. And I'm going to continue to, on priority, show you those pictures of what's happening at the various hotspots of the farmer protests. But remember, I also want to tell you about the details that may just get lost in the noise. The farmers are marching to the national capital, or attempting to march to the national capital, demanding a minimum support price or MSP guarantee written in the law. But is this demand fiscally feasible is the main question. Well, three numbers give the real picture. One, the total value of agricultural produce is at 40 lakh crore rupees in financial year 2020. This includes produce from dairy, farming, horticulture, livestock, and MSP crops, which are few in number. Two, the market value of the total agricultural produce is at 10 lakh crore in financial year 2020. These include 24 crops that are included in the MSP purview. Now, for financial year 2020, the total MSP procurement stood at 2.5 lakh crore. That is 6.25% of the total agricultural produce and 25% of the produce under MSP. Now, if an MSP guarantee law were to be introduced, as the farmer unions are demanding, the government would be looking at an additional expenditure of at least 10 lakh crore rupees annually, that is every single year. To put things into perspective, that is almost equivalent to the expenditure this government has set aside for infrastructure in the recent interim budget. This 10 lakh, it's actually a little bit more than that. This 10 lakh crore annually is also more than the annual average expenditure we have had on our infrastructure in the last 7 fiscal years, each year. So where would the money actually come from is the big question. Joining me live now is Siddharth Zarabi, Managing Editor, Business Today TV. He's been looking very closely at the demands made by the farmers and putting them into perspective for us. Siddharth, welcome. Is the MSP guarantee law being demanded by the farmer unions, is it fiscally feasible?
Well, clearly from a financial perspective, a guarantee for the government to continue to procure all manner of agriculture produce at a minimum support price is not financially sustainable at all. Currently, the 24 odd crops that are purchased, there is a very, very significant outgo. For example, for the data that we have for fiscal year 20, the total MSP procurement stood at rupees 2.5 lakh crore, which is almost 6.25% of all agri produce. If we were to add a MSP by law through a guarantee, it would mean an additional expenditure of rupees 10 lakh crore. Now, these are numbers that are being pointed out by sources in the ruling dispensation, which point out that the demand, if it were to be accepted in the manner in which it is being made, would mean that much additional outgo. And that additional outgo, just to put this in perspective, is almost equivalent to the annual capital expenditure on infrastructure that is being made. Even if it were to be done, one of the key impacts in this regard would be that the government at the center would have to increase its revenue to support this additional outgo, and that would come primarily in the form of higher taxes, and that higher taxes for the union government would be an increase perhaps in personal income tax rates, in the corporate tax rate, and would also feed into higher prices on the ground, because if the base price is hiked, that feeds into a higher input cost for the secondary produce, and that would lead to inflation. And that is why it's being made clear by sources in the government that this kind of demand is not fiscally sustainable.
Okay, so you and experts say that this is not fiscally feasible, an MSP guarantee in law. But Siddharth, what is the government's view on this MSP demand made by the farmers? Crazy things have been done before elections. We do know that governments have bent over backwards, for political reasons in the past. Given you're saying that this is not fiscally feasible at all, and you've put those, very indicative numbers in front of our viewers, what is the government's view on this demand?
Well, very clearly, we do not know the specifics of the negotiations that have been taking place. We know that negotiations have been held, intensive negotiations. Whether there will be a breakthrough, can't say at this stage at least, but it's clear that the government is also pointing out that multiple measures have been taken to support the farming community, the Annadata as is described by the government, and government sources want everyone to take into account the overall package of steps that has been put in place for the farming community, and not just focus on this one MSP demand, which very clearly from the numbers seems to be completely unsustainable unless we are prepared for across the board increase in taxes all across the country.
Siddharth, thanks very much for putting that into perspective for us. This is, of course, still an unfolding story, but I wanted our viewers to understand in terms of data, in terms of the arithmetic, what these demands being made by the farmer unions really mean at this point of time. As we continue to reflect for you what's happening on the ground, remember that right before elections, this is a huge political flashpoint as well. Politics has raged right from the get-go over the farmers' Delhi Chalo call, while the centre has expressed the necessity for careful negotiations and deliberations before enacting an MSP law. The Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress Party have already thrown in their lot with the protesting farmers. Mamata Banerjee from Bengal has done the same. Rahul Gandhi has jumped all the way from his Nyaya Yatra to make a claim that he is guaranteeing MSP in Congress-ruled states. Take a look at all the ugly politics swirling around this story.
Politics rages over farmers' Delhi Chalo call. The BJP government in Haryana has pointed fingers at the AAP government in Punjab, accusing it of instigating farmers to protest.
किसान का बेटा ही है जो देश की सरहदों पर उसकी रक्षा करता है, तो अब किसान की बात क्यों नहीं सुनते? यार, हमारे देश की कैपिटल है, अगर कोई वहां पर जाके अपनी बात करना चाहता है तो आप क्यों डरते हैं? ये कोई किसी के दलाल नहीं है, ये किसान है, ये खुद कुर्बानी करते हैं, तो इनके साथ टकराना तो बिल्कुल नहीं चाहिए।
जिस प्रकार से पंजाब सरकार का उसमें उसको उकसाने के लिए लगा लो या उनका अपना आंदोलन बढ़ा लिया उन्होंने अपना, और आज के आप जितने बयान भी देख लो सारे आम आदमी पार्टी के जो लोग हैं उनके बयान है सारे के सारे। और मैं समझता हूँ कि इसके पीछे इस प्रकार की एक पॉलिटिक्स है, आप देख भी रहे सारी की सारी, तो उन लोगों का एक ध्येय है। वास्तविकता में किसान के हित की बात नहीं है, किसान के हित के लिए तो सरकार स्वयं चिंतित है और सरकार काम कर रही है।
Coming out in support of the farmers' march to Delhi, AAP termed the demands raised by the farmers, including minimum support price for 23 crops, as legitimate. The party insisted peaceful demonstration is the right of every citizen. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has extended her support to the farmers. She condemned the firing of tear gas on protesters in Haryana, calling it the BJP's brutal assault on farmers. The Congress too has backed the farmers' agitation. Rahul Gandhi announced the Congress will guarantee MSP as prescribed by the MS Swaminathan Commission if the party comes to power.
किसानों को जो मिलना चाहिए वो नहीं मिल रहा है। आज किसान दिल्ली के ओर चले जा रहे हैं, पैदल जा रहे हैं, उनको रोका जा रहा है, उन पे टीयर गैस चलाई जा रही है, उनको जेल में भरा जा रहा है। और वो क्या कह रहे हैं? सिर्फ ये कह रहे हैं कि हमारी मेहनत का फल हमें मिलना चाहिए।
The Narendra Modi government has reiterated its stance and stressed on the need for careful deliberation before enacting any MSP law. The government's talks with farmers did not yield any breakthrough on Monday.
हम भी चाहते हैं कि किसानों के किसी भी ऐसे उत्पाद जिसमें MSP दर तय होता है वो उसके माध्यम से उससे कम में ना बिके। MSP के मामले में ये बात कहते हुए कि हमें अभी ही सारी चीज़ें हो जाना चाहिए, ये मैं समझता हूँ कि राजनीति से प्रेरित नहीं होना चाहिए।
The farmer unions remain firm on their demand. They took aim at both Congress and BJP, accusing them of politicizing the farmers' protest.
कोई कांग्रेस हमें सपोर्ट नहीं करती। हम कांग्रेस को भी उतना दोषी मानते जितना भाजपा दोषी है। ये नीतियां तो कांग्रेस लेके आई हैं, हम किसी के पक्ष वाले नहीं हैं, हम किसान मजदूर की आवाज उठाने वाले हैं, उनके आदमी हैं।
Farmers are back on the streets. Their main demand remains a law that ensures MSP. At a time when the Lok Sabha polls are near, a political showdown is inevitable. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, we've got some breaking news coming in now. Haryana Home Minister Anil Vij, always known to be a bit of a motor mouth, has hit out at the farmers. Anil Vij, Home Minister of Maharashtra, claims there is some kind of motive behind the farmer Andolan. He says talks have been held twice and they are not denying having further talks with them. Still, they are adamant about going to Delhi. Why do they want to go to Delhi? It seems that they have some other motive, says an irritable sounding Home Minister of Haryana, questioning the motives of the farmers. They should withdraw their call, is what he says, until discussions with the government have been successfully concluded. Listen in to Anil Vij, Home Minister of Haryana.
पूरी तरह से तैयारियां हैं, हम शांति भंग नहीं होने देंगे और मेरा तो इनको ये कहना है कि ये अपनी कॉल को विड्रॉ करें, वापस लें अपनी कॉल को। और बातचीत के लिए अभी भी मुंडा जी कह रहे हैं, बार बार सरकार कह रही है कि हम तैयार हैं, तो बातचीत से ही हल निकलेगा। कोई दिल्ली पर जहाँ हरियाणा पर हमला करके तो हल नहीं निकलेगा। तो वो समझ से परे की बात है कि किस लिए दिल्ली जाना चाहते हैं। ऐसा लगता है कि इनका मकसद कुछ और है।
Amit Bharadwaj is still with me. I want to get a perspective in from him because he covered the farmer protest the last time as well. Amit, at this sensitive time when negotiations are still happening between the farmer unions and the government, for netas to come out and ascribe motives, etc., can be very, very damaging, like the last time. Isn't that true?
देखिए, ये जो बात है वो बहुत ही गंभीर है। और ये बात जो है वो बहुत ही
True, Shiv, it seems that nothing has been learned from the farmers' agitation 1.0, the agitation that was led between 2020 and 2021. Leaders like Anil Vij kept on making controversial statements back then, and we had seen the kind of response that it had received from the farmer organizations as well. And you know what happens even more, what is more dangerous is that you are the home minister of the state. When you make such statements, it also sends across a message to the system that is the police force, the administration, which has been deployed to stop the farmers from breaching barricades and reaching the national capital. It sends across a wrong message. But a big development shift that I want to break to our viewers right now from Sangrur border. You know, Delhi police personnel are on round at Sangrur border. But the bigger breaking is that the entire Delhi police personnel who are deployed on the ground out here, as well as the RAF forces, have been briefed by the Delhi police senior officials. This briefing said very specifically that if farmers are aggressive, you don't need to be on defensive. Brief given to the RAF personnel as well as Delhi police personnel by the senior officials. If farmers are aggressive, you don't have to be defensive. We will not be on defensive and we will stop them. Use tear gas shells. You know, that briefing has been done as well. The personnel of RAF and Delhi police have been asked to make sure that they use force to stop the farmers from breaching the walls, concrete walls, barricades that have been erected on the national highway at Sangrur border. And it has been also given, a brief to these personnel that once these farmers are stopped here, they will understand they will not be able to breach the barricades and not be able to create a nuisance in the national capital. After that, they'll be sitting here on dharna, and from there, it will be the responsibility of the government to negotiate with them, to take it forward. But it is a clear-cut briefing to the Delhi police personnel as well as the RAF personnel that you don't have to be on defensive. If farmers are aggressive, you don't have to be defensive. You know, that word itself is a clear-cut message to all these personnel who are deployed at Sangrur border as to what measures they can take. And tear gas shells, guns, all that is on the ground. And we can see a dozen of at least drones working in the sky right now at Sangrur border. Shiv.
Okay. Amit, stay safe. This is clearly something that appears to be escalating, and we will be staying on this story right through prime time here on India Today. Stay with me. We've got some more breaking news coming in now. Union Minister Anurag Thakur has now hit out at Rahul Gandhi. Anurag Thakur has attacked Rahul Gandhi over the latter's MSP guarantee promise while on his Bharat Jodo Nyay Yatra. Minister Thakur said, let the Congress give guarantees in its states, which is what Rahul Gandhi has done. Thakur says the opposition should not spread lies. Here's what Minister Anurag Thakur has said.
हमारे साथ बातचीत करने के लिए केंद्रीय मंत्री अनुराग जी, प्रदर्शनकारी जो हैं अब दिल्ली की तरफ कूच कर गए हैं और उनकी मांग है कि एमएसपी को लीगली जो है मान्यता देनी चाहिए।
देखिए, मैं एक बात तो कहूँगा कि प्रदर्शनकारियों से हिंसा ना करें, शांति करें। महात्मा गांधी जी के देश में शांति ही और चर्चा ही, यही दो हल हैं। अगर कतर जैसे मुद्दे पर लोगों को फांसी की सज़ा से, उम्र कैद से अब पूरी राहत यानी कि उनको छूट मिल सकती है, देश वापस आ सकते हैं, तो बड़ी जीत भारत की अगर वहाँ पर हो सकती तो बातचीत के रास्ते हुई। इसी तरह से ही मैं प्रदर्शनकारियों से इतना ही कहना चाहता हूँ कि मोदी सरकार ने किसान कल्याण के लिए बहुत सारे काम किए हैं। किसान भाइयों के लिए तो अगर मैं 4 जाति की बात करते हैं तो उसमें अन्नदाता को प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने बार बार लिया और उनके लिए बहुत सारी योजनाएं चलाई। जैसे कि यूपीए के समय अगर आप देखिए कांग्रेस के समय क्या था, और कांग्रेस ने आज प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की तो मैं उनको जवाब देना चाहता हूं। उनके समय मात्र बजट जो था 27,000 करोड़ रुपए का था, जब 2013-14 में यानी कि आखिरी साल यूपीए का जो सबसे ज़्यादा बजट वो 27,000 करोड़ का था। मोदी सरकार में 1,25,000 करोड़ का बजट इस साल का है, 1 लाख करोड़ रुपया ज़्यादा। दूसरा विषय आता है कि उनके समय पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि नहीं थी, ना किसानों का सम्मान था।
Live images of Prime Minister Modi right ahead of the Alan Modi event in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. Here's Prime Minister Modi interacting with locals, crowds and children at the Alan Modi event. Let's just listen into it. Modi arriving at the venue of the Alan Modi event. Let's listen. This was when Prime Minister Modi had landed in Abu Dhabi a short while ago, being embraced and